They left her in the snow to die, but death wasn't what found her. A rival alpha did. Beth stood at the back of the gathering circle, where the shadows stretched long and the torches burned low. She always stood there, not close enough to be seen, not far enough to disappear. Her dark hair hung in loose, tangled waves down her back, untouched and unnoticed. Her eyes, the same deep shade as storm clouds, stayed lowered, watching the frozen ground instead of the faces around her. Tonight was the claiming ceremony. The night Omegas either became chosen or forgotten. Snow fell softly over the borders of the clearing, caught in the branches like silent witnesses. The pack stood in tight clusters, warm breath fogging the air, shoulders wrapped in thick cloaks and confident energy. Beth's thin dress offered no warmth. Her hands trembled at her sides. No one noticed. She had been told all her life that she was too quiet, too small, too damaged, that she was lucky to be allowed to stay at all. The alpha stepped forward, Marcus, tall, broad-shouldered, golden, perfect. His dark eyes swept over the gathered pack, measured, powerful. Then, they stopped on her. The air shifted. Whispers stirred. Beth's breath caught, not because of hope, because of fear. He lifted his hand, and silence fell like a knife. "This pack protects what is strong," Marcus said. His voice carried easily through the cold air. "It nurtures loyalty, endurance, worth." Every word felt like a stone added to Beth's chest. He turned fully toward her. "Beth, step forward." Her heart dropped. She didn't want to move, but her feet did anyway. Each step felt heavier than the last, snow whispering beneath worn boots. The crowd didn't part for her. They simply watched, waiting. She stopped where the torchlight hit her face. She felt naked. He circled her slowly. His eyes dropped to the old scars along her wrists, the faint bruising along her jaw, the shallow rise of her breath. Then he spoke. "I reject this Omega." The world cracked. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Beth didn't breathe. "I will not claim weakness," Marcus continued calmly. "I will not protect broken blood. She carries stains that cannot be cleaned." The Luna, his Luna, didn't hide her smile. Laughter spread. Soft, sharp, cruel. Beth felt it like blade edges across bare skin. Her vision blurred, her mouth opened. No sound came. Marcus stepped past her as if she were already gone. "Remove her," he said, like he was talking about a burden, not a girl. Hands grabbed her arms. She twisted. "Please, no!" Someone struck her across the side of the head. She tasted blood. Her feet dragged across ice and dirt as the forest swallowed the sound of the ceremony behind her. She cried out once. No one heard. They didn't take her far, just to the edge of the territory, where the snow grew deeper, the wind harsher, the dark absolute. Her body was thrown forward. She hit the frozen ground hard. Before she could rise, something sharp cut across her side. A knife, not deep, just enough. "Run," someone whispered near her ear. "If you're lucky." They turned, walked away. Footsteps fading. Snow began to fall harder. Beth laid there for a moment, staring up at the night sky. Her breath left her in visible clouds. Her side burned. Her fingers shook violently. She pulled herself up. The forest was silent. Too silent. She took one step, then another, blood soaked into the white beneath her. The trees blurred. Her heart beat slower. Her lips trembled. "I didn't ask to be born wrong." Her knees hit the ground. The wind howled through naked branches. Her body folded forward. And the snow kept falling, soft, thick, quiet, burying her. She closed her eyes and waited to die. The cold came for her slowly at first. It slipped into the torn edges of her dress, crept beneath her skin, wrapped around her bones. Beth walked without direction. Left, right, forward. The trees blurred together in dark, towering shapes. Her breath rattled in her chest, thin and uneven, each inhale burning her throat like ice. Her dark hair clung to her damp cheeks, snow gathering in the tangled strands. Her hands grew numb. She stopped looking for shelter. There was no point. Her packlands were gone behind her. Unknown territory lay ahead. And in between, only cold. Only silence. Only her. Her boots slipped. She barely caught herself on a tree, her fingers scraping bark. The bark scraped back. Splinters bit into her skin. She didn't feel it. She barely felt anything anymore. Her side throbbed where the knife had cut her, warm blood cooling against her skin, staining the snow behind her with each slow step. Pink, then red, then darker. Her legs trembled. Her vision narrowed. She reached a small clearing. Wind howled through broken branches above, and her body simply stopped. Her knees hit the snow with no strength left to catch herself. She fell forward, hands disappearing beneath the powdery white. The cold overwhelmed her in waves now. Her fingers stiffened. Her feet burned. Her breath came out in slow, shaky clouds. "I'm so tired." Her voice was barely a sound. She rolled onto her side, staring up at the colorless sky. Snowflakes kissed her lashes, melted, froze. She thought of nothing, not the pack, not Marcus, not the Luna, only the strange quiet, the way the pain dulled, the way the cold began to feel soft. Her heartbeat slowed. Her limbs felt heavy. Her thoughts drifted away like fog. She whispered, barely moving her lips, "I didn't belong anywhere anyway." The wind shifted. Something changed. A sound. Crunch, crunch. Boots in the snow. Her eyes flickered toward the tree line, but she didn't move. She couldn't. A shadow passed between the trunks. Tall, broad, dangerous. The snow around her darkened as a figure stepped into view. She blinked slowly. Her vision struggled to focus. Dark coat, heavy boots, a presence that made the air feel different. She had no strength left for fear, so she just watched. The man stopped a few feet from her. The wind pulled at her torn dress. She shivered violently. He stared down at her, long, silent, his face shadowed by the bare branches above. She felt something shift in the air, thick, heavy, powerful. A pressure. Not cruel, not violent, just controlled. She swallowed, lips trembling. "Go ahead," she whispered hoarsely. "I don't have anything left to take." He didn't answer, didn't kneel, didn't touch her. He simply studied her, the blood in the snow, the torn fabric, the bruises blooming beneath her skin. His jaw tightened, his eyes darkened. And then he spoke, low, quiet, dangerous. "She doesn't belong to them." Beth's brow furrowed weakly. She tried to focus on him, on the sound of his voice. She wanted to ask what he meant, but her body was done. Her sight dimmed, the forest tilted. The wind roared. The snow swallowed the edges of the world. She felt herself being lifted. Suddenly, strong arms, warmth through leather and wool. She stiffened weakly. A sound caught in her throat. But there was no pain, no roughness, no cruelty, only steadiness, only silence, only the steady beat of a heart she could not see. Her cheek pressed against something warm, solid, safe. Her last thought before darkness took her. This doesn't feel like dying. Warmth was the first thing she felt, not dream warm, not memory warm, real heat, fire. It wrapped around her slowly, sinking through layers of numbness she hadn't realized existed. Beth's lashes fluttered. Her breath stuttered as air burned gently into frozen lungs. She could hear the crackle of flames before she could open her eyes, the soft hiss of wood splitting, the deep silence of stone walls. She opened her eyes slowly. The ceiling above her was dark wood, thick beams blackened by years of smoke. The air smelled like fire, pine resin, and something unfamiliar. Stone walls. Not a cave, not a pack den. Something older. She tried to move. Pain lanced through her side and she gasped, freezing as a hand pressed gently to her shoulder. "Don't." The voice was low. Not unkind, not soft, controlled. She turned her head. He stood a few steps away, tall, broad, still as stone. Dark hair fell loosely around his face. His eyes were darker still, unreadable, watchful, patient. His presence filled the room the same way the fire did, without effort, without apology. Her body tensed instantly. She tried to push herself back against the wall. Pain exploded again. Her breath turned shallow. "Easy," he said, stepping slightly closer. "You're not in danger." Her laugh came out broken. "No one ever says that before hurting you." He studied her, not flinching, not denying it. He said only, "You were dying in my territory." Her heartbeat stuttered. She searched his face for lies, for cruelty, for hunger. She found none, only something colder, calmer. "I didn't know where I was going," she said, voice hoarse. "I didn't mean to cross anything." "You didn't cross," he replied. "You fell." She swallowed. Her fingers curled into the thin blanket around her shoulders. "Why?" she whispered. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he moved to a table nearby, lifting a bowl. Steam curled from it. Her stomach twisted painfully. Hungry. He brought it closer but didn't force it. Set it within her reach. "You'll answer that for yourself when you're warm enough to think clearly." She stared at the bowl, then back at him. "You're an alpha," she said quietly. It wasn't a question. His mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile. Was it that obvious? Her eyes dropped to the way the shadows seemed to shift when he moved, the way the air felt heavier when he stood too close, the way her skin reacted instinctively. "My pack said your name once," she murmured, like a warning. That's usually how it goes. Silence fell between them. The fire popped. The walls breathed. The storm whispered outside unseen. He turned away. She felt something twist. "You shouldn't stay here." She could feel that truth in her bones. She pushed herself upright. Pain cut through her body. She ignored it. She swung her legs off the stone bed. "You should let me go," she said. He stopped walking, didn't turn back. "You can't stand." "I can crawl," she snapped, then softened despite herself. "I don't want to drag trouble to you." He studied her longer this time, not like prey, like a problem, like a question. "Do you think I can't handle trouble?" She almost smiled. It surprised her. He stepped closer, knees bent so he was level with her, but not touching, not crowding. "Go when you can walk," he said, "not while you're bleeding." She hesitated. Her pride screamed. Her fear agreed. Outside, wind scraped claws across the lodge walls. She slowly leaned back into the stone. Her arms trembled. "Thank you," she whispered, more reflex than thought. He nodded once, small, precise. "Sleep," he said. She hesitated, then closed her eyes. His footsteps faded. But the fire stayed. So did the warmth. So did the strange feeling in her chest. That for the first time, someone had found her and not broken her. The fire burned low by morning. Beth woke to the sound of quiet movement. Not footsteps, not voices, the soft brush of fabric, the low scrape of wood. She opened her eyes slowly. The room was lit with pale winter light drifting in through a narrow window. Snow light turned the stone walls silver and blue. Her body felt heavy, but cleaner. Her side no longer burned the way it had. She lifted the blanket carefully and saw fresh cloth wrapped around her ribs, neatly tied, carefully done. He had tended the wound while she slept. She didn't know how to feel about that. Her name felt strange in her mouth when she whispered it to herself. Beth. She pushed herself upright slowly. She didn't fall. That felt like victory. The scent of fire and pine was stronger today, mixed now with the faint smell of something warm and savory. Her stomach tightened painfully. She hadn't felt hunger in. She didn't remember how long. The door creaked. He stepped inside. Ivan. His dark hair was slightly damp, as if from the cold air. His dark eyes found her immediately, assessing. But he didn't rush toward her, didn't crowd her. He stayed where he was. "You're upright," he observed. "I am." Silence settled. Not awkward, not heavy, just quiet. He moved to the table and brought a small wooden tray toward her. Bread, a simple bowl of stew, steam curling gently from the surface. He set it down within her reach and stepped back again. He paused by the door. "Your name?" he asked, not demanding, not curious, just necessary. She froze. Her fingers tightened slightly around the edge of the bowl. Names had power. Names gave people something to call you when they wanted something back. She lifted her eyes slowly, met his. "Beth," she said. The word felt thin, vulnerable, like offering her throat. He didn't repeat it, didn't test it, didn't smile. He simply nodded once, as if accepting a truth. "Ivan," he said. And for the first time, she realized she wasn't the only one giving something away. She stared at the food, then at him. "You don't have to." "I know." That answer unsettled her more than if he'd argued. She reached for the bowl slowly, like it might disappear. Her hands shook slightly, not from fear, from need. She ate quietly, carefully, trying not to look desperate. He didn't watch her. He busied himself tightening a strap on his coat. Let her keep her dignity. When she finally stopped, she noticed him looking at her side. Not the wound, the scars, old ones. He didn't touch them, didn't ask. But his jaw went tight. "You've carried pain for a long time," he said. It wasn't a question. She swallowed. "You get used to pain," she replied softly. "It stops feeling like something that can be taken away." He didn't say anything to that, but something shifted in the room, a current, a realization. "That won't be true here," he said. And this time, it felt like law. Later, she tried to leave, not because she wanted to, but because she always had to. The door felt too close, the walls too safe. That kind of safety demanded a price. She pushed herself to her feet. The floor tilted. He noticed instantly, moved toward her, slow, measured. Not grabbing, not cornering. "Don't," she said quickly. He stopped immediately, hands at his sides. "You have control," the silence told her. She took 2 steps toward the door. Her knees buckled. Pain flared. Darkness edged in. And she was falling. Strong hands caught her. He didn't yank, didn't trap, just steadied her long enough to keep her from hitting the floor. She froze. Her breath hitched. Her hands gripped his coat like she expected pain, like she braced for impact. But none came. He didn't move, didn't withdraw either. He just waited. Her hands slowly loosened. He let go, stepped back. "And that," he said quietly, "is why you are not leaving yet." She almost laughed. Instead, she nodded. The storm howled outside. The room stayed warm. She returned to the stone bed, alone, but not abandoned. As the fire cracked and softened the edges of the silence, she realized something unsettling. The wound on her side was healing, but the things inside her, those were what he was really protecting, and somehow he knew it. The storm came in the night, Not loud at first, not violent, just wind pressing slow fingers against the stone walls of the lodge, testing them. Beth woke with her heart already racing. Her body was warm. The blankets were heavier now. The fire still breathed softly across the room. And yet, she couldn't breathe. The ceiling felt too low, the walls too close, the air too full. Her chest tightened as the memory came back, hands grabbing her arms, snow burning her skin, laughter behind her. She sucked in a sharp breath and sat upright. Her side pulsed painfully. Her fingers trembled as she tried to steady herself. She told herself she was safe. She told herself she was inside stone walls. She told herself that no one could drag her from this floor. Her breath didn't listen. It hitched, fell apart, her hands fisted in the blankets, her mouth opened, and the sound that came out wasn't a word. It was fear. It was breaking. It was the small, cracked sound of someone who had never been allowed to be heard. "Ivan?" She hadn't meant to say it. She hadn't even thought about saying it. It just slipped out of her. The room was silent again, for half a heartbeat. Then, footsteps, fast, controlled. The door opened. He was already there. He didn't speak at first, didn't touch her, didn't ask what was wrong. He just stood by the door, present, solid, real. "I'm here," he said quietly. That was all. She nodded, even though tears slipped silently down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them away. She didn't hide them. Somehow, she didn't need to. "I dreamed they came back," she whispered, "that they pulled me through the snow like—" Her voice broke. She swallowed. "Like I wasn't living." He took one step closer. Slow, careful, like approaching a wound that could snap shut if touched wrong. "They can't cross here," he said, "not without consequences." Her hands twisted in the blanket. "Please don't let them take me back." The words fell out before she could stop them. Not demanded, not dramatic, just truth. Ivan held her gaze, a quiet fire kindled behind his eyes. "They won't," he said. And it wasn't comfort. It was promise. The storm grew louder. Branch shadows crawled across the walls. He moved to the chair near the hearth and sat down, not close enough to trap, not far enough to vanish. She watched him out of the corner of her eye, the way he stayed awake, the way his gaze flicked to the door with each shift of the wind. He wasn't guarding a lodge, he was guarding her. The idea frightened her. She slept slightly easier anyway. The days blurred after that, not in a rush, not in a dream, in something quieter. He knocked before entering. Always. He never stood too close, never let his shadow stretch over her. He brought food and set it down without speaking, giving her room to choose. One morning she woke to find a thick fur-lined cloak folded near her bed. No note. No explanation. She wrapped it around her shoulders anyway. It smelled like pine and clean snow. By the 5th night, she was walking without swaying. Her strength came back slowly, but it came. She stood at the narrow window and watched the snow fall in silence. She realized she hadn't heard a single cruel word since she arrived. No shouting, no punishment. No sharp laughter. She didn't know what to do with a world like that. She touched the faint scars on her wrist, not hiding them, not bracing for someone to see, just feeling them. The door opened behind her. "You're stronger than you think," Ivan said. She didn't turn. "I didn't think I was meant to survive," she admitted. The fire cracked softly. In his reflection in the darkened glass, she saw it. Something dangerous. Not toward her, for her. And for the first time in her life, Beth felt something shift in her chest that wasn't pain. It was quiet. It was steady. It was hope. The forest changed before Beth ever heard them. It wasn't a sound at first. It was a feeling, the way the air thickened, the way the wind stopped moving as freely through the trees, the way the birds went silent all at once. She felt it through the soles of her boots as she stepped away from the lodge. Something had crossed a boundary. She paused, fingers tightening around the fur-lined edges of the cloak Ivan had given her. Snow drifted softly from the branches above, settling into her dark hair. She inhaled slowly, trying to calm the sudden tension building in her chest. Then she heard it. Footsteps, many of them. Not careless, not lost. These were trained wolves, moving with purpose. She turned toward the tree line. "Ivan," she whispered, though she didn't see him. The door behind her opened soundlessly. He was already there. He didn't ask what was wrong. He didn't need to. His posture changed, just slightly, like a storm drawing itself together. "They crossed the line," he said quietly. Her heart dropped. "They followed me?" His eyes moved to her, not with blame, but with something colder and more focused. "They aren't here because of you," he said. "They're here because you survived." The wolves emerged from the trees without hesitation. 6 of them, then 8, then 10. And at the center of them, Marcus stepped forward. He looked the same, polished, perfect, untouched by the cold. His dark hair was pulled back neatly, his coat untouched by snow, as if he believed himself above it. His gaze found Beth immediately. A smile touched his mouth. "There you are," Marcus said. "I was beginning to think you'd actually died." Beth felt Ivan shift subtly in front of her, placing himself between her and the approaching pack. He did not bare his teeth, did not raise his voice. He simply stepped forward, and the ground seemed to hold its breath with him. "You've crossed into land that isn't yours," Ivan said calmly. Marcus laughed softly. "We're just correcting a mistake," he replied. "She was never meant to leave our borders alive." The words struck deeper than any blade. Beth's fingers curled into Ivan's coat without realizing she'd moved. Ivan didn't look back, but his voice dropped lower. "She walked into my territory bleeding," he said. "That makes her my responsibility." Marcus's smile hardened. "She is a stain you should have let die in the snow," he said, "the same way her mother should have." The forest went silent. Even the wind stopped. Beth froze. Her lungs tightened. Her mind went blank. Her mother? Ivan felt it too. The shift, the weight of the words. "You speak of blood?" Marcus stopped himself, recovering quickly, but it was too late. He had already revealed too much. Ivan turned his head slightly, just enough that Beth could see his profile. He understood now. Everything. The air changed. Ivan stepped forward, and the wolves behind him rose from the shadows of the trees like living darkness. They said nothing. They didn't need to. Marcus's pack faltered, just slightly, but it was enough. "You discarded what was never yours to destroy," Ivan said. Marcus straightened. "You think you can challenge me over a broken Omega?" The answer came in the form of movement. The clash was fast and brutal, but not chaotic. It was controlled. Ivan didn't fight like a man desperate to win. He fought like a force that had already decided the outcome. Marcus was strong. Ivan was inevitable. Snow exploded around them. Breath steamed in violent bursts. Claws flashed. Coats tore. The ground beneath them cracked with their power. Ivan knocked Marcus down but did not kill him. He pressed a boot into Marcus's chest, holding him there. "You do not deserve death," Ivan said quietly. "You deserve to live with what you tried to erase." He stepped back. Marcus's wolves hesitated, then retreated, dragging their alpha away. Silence returned slowly. Snow started to fall again. Beth's hands were shaking. She hadn't realized she'd stopped breathing. Ivan turned back to her. The battle was gone from his eyes. "I told you," he said calmly. "They won't take you back." The forest felt different after the battle. Not quieter, not calmer, but settled. like something old and dangerous had been pushed back into its rightful place. Snow fell gently through the branches, soft enough to gather on Beth's dark hair without melting right away. Her hands were still trembling, though she wasn't sure if it was cold or shock. Ivan walked ahead of her, his pace steady, his presence sure. He didn't rush. He didn't speak. He let the silence breathe between them. It wasn't until they reached the edge of the lodge clearing that he finally stopped. "You should sit," he said. He wasn't commanding. He wasn't controlling. He was noticing. She nodded and lowered herself onto the stone step outside the lodge. The cold surface bit through the fabric of her clothes, but she didn't mind it. She welcomed the sting. It reminded her she was still alive. Ivan didn't sit beside her. He stayed in front of her, not towering, not distant, simply present. "There's something you deserve to understand," he said. She lifted her eyes. "Marcus wasn't lying when he spoke about your mother." Beth's body went very still. He continued calmly, without dramatics. He feared her, not because she was weak, but because she wasn't. She came from a bloodline that once held power across multiple territories, the kind of line that could challenge men like him without ever raising their voice. Beth swallowed. "Why didn't she tell me?" she asked quietly. "She tried," Ivan said, "but she was forced into silence before she could. I recognized your scent the moment I found you in the snow. I had heard stories long before you were born." The words settled slowly. Beth's breath felt too tight. "You knew?" she asked. "I suspected," he said. "And when I saw your wounds, I was certain that someone had tried to erase you." She looked down at her hands. They didn't look powerful. They didn't feel ancient or important. They looked like the hands of someone who had been broken. Ivan seemed to read the thought somehow. He stepped forward and knelt down in front of her. He didn't take her hand. He didn't touch her. He simply lowered himself so they were at the same height. "You survived," he said, "not because of what your blood is, not because of what they feared, but because of what you are." That hit harder than any blow ever had. Her throat tightened. Her vision blurred. "I found you in the snow," he continued, "but I didn't lift you because of prophecy or law. I lifted you because you were still breathing." Silence wrapped around them. Not heavy, not painful, honest. When he spoke again, his voice was lower, slower. "I won't claim you," he said. "I won't mark you or bind you or make you something that feels like a cage." She didn't answer. He offered his hand, palm up, empty. "I will give you a choice," he said. "No debts, no chains, no fear." Her heart beat so hard she thought it might break her ribs. She stared at his hand. For once in her life, no one was waiting to take something, only waiting to be allowed closer. She placed her hand in his. He didn't tighten his grip. He didn't pull. He just let their hands rest there naturally. "I choose you," she said. The words felt solid, real, strong. The wind moved softly through the clearing. The snow fell slowly, and for the first time, none of it felt like something she had to endure. He stood and helped her gently to her feet. He draped his heavy coat around her shoulders, not to hide her, to warm her. Later, the lodge glowed with low firelight. Beth sat by the hearth, the stone warm beneath her palms. The fear felt far away now. Not gone, not erased, but quieter. Ivan stood near the door, watching the forest through the window. "You can leave whenever you wish," he said over his shoulder. She smiled. She hadn't smiled in a long time. "I know," she replied. "That's why I'm staying." He didn't turn, but she could see the faint softening of his reflection in the dark glass. Outside, snow covered the last stains of blood. Inside, warmth remained. And for the first time, Beth wasn't surviving. She was living, and she wasn't alone. If you like this story, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps this channel grow. Thanks for watching.